Leanne? Leanne Grayson?
Hello, Mrs. Turner.
Today, we're actually going to do something different. Instead of talking about topics from publishers and journals, we are going to talk about a new TV series on Apple Plus that I personally really enjoyed. The name of the TV show is called Servant. Now, if you haven't seen the show before, I highly recommend you go back and see it before you continue to watch my video, as my video will contain heavy spoilers. In today's video, I will be pretty much going through all the places, parts of each episode that I think you may have missed. Now, I'm not going to talk about the obvious parts, obviously, and you can find it elsewhere on YouTube. Now, this video, I find it very intriguing. It has such a simple setting and yet very effective. It really grabs you and makes you think. And this is the exact kind of video and TV shows that I'm always looking for. So now I have prepared a few clips from the first couple of episodes. Now my video will be structured into two parts. This first part is going to cover the content that's up to episode 3. And I'm going to basically go clip by clip and talk about what I see in the clips and what it means and how it connects with the rest of the TV show as the rest of the TV show progression. So in the first clip, I see that Leanne, one of the main protagonists, arrives in Mr. and Mrs. Turner's house in a taxi in a heavy rain night. Now this scene might look very trivial, but I think this whole thing of rain might actually has deeper meaning than you and I could understand at this point. So I just want to point it out. And in fact, I will illustrate that one of the episodes in the future will actually be titled Rain. So I think this whole subject of rain might have some special meaning in the show, might in the later parts reveal itself. So next clip, I left the audio on, and it really goes to show that there seems connection on the personal level between Mr. Turner and Leanne, as Leanne can quickly pick up what exactly that Mr. Turner, Sean, does for a living.
Mrs. Turner says that you work from home. What is it that you do?
Nothing as glamorous as my wife. I'm a professional bon vivant. It means...
Good living. It's French.
And this might not seem much when you first watch it, but after watching all the episodes until this point, then you see that, well, this makes sense because there seems to be this development on a personal level that between these two characters that they began to like each other. Now, what exactly that does it mean down the road, we do not know. So that will be very interesting to find out. Because I believe this scene is very interesting in the sense that, you know, we see later on that Mr. Turner, because that he perhaps destroyed that cross figure that Leanne hung over the crib, and this resulted in him being punished for some kind of sin that he lost his taste, and so on and so forth. But so, and later on we see that, you know, there might be some misunderstanding between Leanne and Sean. However, we can kind of see that these two characters like each other. So some of the things that's happening to Sean, it's probably beyond Leanne's control. So it's interesting to see whether Leanne is actually going to be on Sean's side or not as the episode progresses. Very interesting. This clip that I'm showing, it's a very mundane scene. It might not seem much. It's basically showing that one night, Leanne, she just cooks her food, which is tomato soup and sandwiches pretty much every night. But apparently, she's turned around and she went to the kitchen, but she's actually helping out with the kitchen works, which I guess in Mr. Turner's eye, it's not something that she has to do, meaning she helped clean up. She does not need to help clean up and wash his dishes. So this subtle thing can also be interpreted as that she is starting to develop some kind of liking of Mr. Turner, and we'll see what this little observation would take us in the future episodes. Very interesting indeed.
You don't have to do that.
I don't mind.
This next scene is show that Leanne is taking a bath. But it's kind of strange that she actually fully submerged herself, even with the eyes open. So remember that I mentioned the water/rain might be a particular scene or connection here. So I don't know if that means anything in this particular scene. So if any of you know or have opinion about it, please comment and let me know. And I think this can be interpreted as two situations. One is this water has a connection, and Leanne has a purpose of submerge herself in the water. Or second, it's simply this thing can be interpreted as Leanne, after watching Mrs. Turner taking a bath, and she wanted to try it out, except that she didn't realize that you're not supposed to fully submerge your head under the water. Now, this next episode, I actually took two clips from two early episodes. It basically, the one clip is showing that, I guess it's at the end of the night that they put the security code on to lock the house in. And one clip is showing when Sean, in shock of this new baby and didn't know what to do with it, decided to take the baby out in the middle of the night. But he apparently forgot the security code of the house, and he ended up setting up the alarm. So I zoom in the picture and show you that indeed he forgot the code. So the correct code is supposed to be 1060, but he ended up entering 0630. So, and this kind of tells you that there may be some forces unseen that protects this baby Jericho. Could it be the doing of Leanne? Or could it be the god that Leanne's worshipping is trying to stop Sean from taking the baby out of the house? So this is very mysterious. And this goes to show that, maybe a few things. One, Sean has seen mental deterioration as he has seen splinters coming out of his body. Is his mind also deteriorate? Or is he temporarily taken over by another entity? So if you have an opinion about this scene, please let me know and leave a comment. Now, there are just so many hidden secrets that I have not covered, so please go back and watch all the episodes and figure out yourself. But the next clip that I want to talk about is this resume letter that Sean was holding when he was looking for a photo of Leanne. So here I took great pain to took a snapshot of a as clear of a look as possible. So we can kind of see that what exactly did Leanne write on the letter that kind of got her selected to be the nanny of this house. So the letter is saying, "My name is Leanne Grayson. I am 18 years of age, and from a good, I guess, a good, loving, and hardworking family in Madison Bridge, Wisconsin. I have not traveled far, but one day I would like to see the whole world." And let's pause here. Actually, if you have seen the most recent episode, that this is exactly how she responded to one of the other friends that she came across in episode 5, that she said that one day she would like to travel around the world. Specifically, she mentioned about Japan. Now let's keep reading the letter. The letter now says, "Sometimes I look out of my bedroom window in the morning, and the way that I'm assuming sunlight catches the okay, I can't see, makes me wonder if there is another girl in, I guess, some other places, Russia or China, who is seeing the same sunlight and thinking about the same thoughts as me. Where will life take me? Who will I encounter? Where will I one day settle? I am in the hands of fate, as we all are." So very interesting. So you can see from this paragraph that she's curious. And she's deeply, perhaps deeply religious, as she mentioned about fate. Now, the next paragraph is not so easy to make out. But let's keep reading. So I guess in the company of children and at church on Sundays, some of the blah blah to hold this, I guess, babies as one with their toddlers and always happy to do so. In fact, some weekend it's okay, so it's really hard to make out a whole sentence from there, but I'm guessing the main point of the paragraph is probably saying that she helps out a lot at church and that she spent a lot of time with toddlers and children. So she basically saying that you should give me this job because I love doing that naturally. This is very interesting indeed. Next clip that I want to talk about is in the episode of Eel. So here I included a static image. So basically it's showing the facial expression of Leanne after she has witnessed the violent act of nailing the eel and skinning the nail while it's still alive. So, I mean, this scene, from the reaction and, she basically fainted to the floor later on. So from this scene, you kind of see that she is perhaps very innocent. She's not used to seeing people or creatures being killed. And I think this does show the kindness side of Leanne. So I know that this TV show might have purposefully created scenes and settings to show that Leanne may be bad. This bad nanny is out here to ruin this family. But I'm starting to think that might not be true. And you can kind of see from this scene that you can kind of interpret as she's kind-hearted. She's innocent just as a child. This next static shot is taken from episode 2, I believe, is when the private investigators that are hired by Justin, Mrs. Turner's brother, when they went over to Wisconsin and supposedly found this house where Leanne lived. And as they did a live video walkthrough of the house, they came across this place where a similar wooden cross was hung from one of the wall. And this kind of resulted in Sean being convinced that Leanne perhaps is up to no good coming into his house. But here I just want to talk about another side of the story, that as you can see that the rest of the wall is totally burned out, but the part of the wall where the cross is hung is basically untouched. So I did some research, and so basically in some culture, specifically in some European folk religious culture, that this cross is designed or it's made to specifically to protect the owner of fire. So this, how coincidental, right? That we know this house is burned down of fire. So, if you look beyond the surface, the appearance, then you see that, well, this cross is actually meant good. The cross is meant to protect the owner from fire. So, and this, I believe, further proved that Leanne is actually not a bad character in this TV series, as some may have previously thought. So let's watch the next clip.
If you want to get to Dorothy, you're going to have to go through me.
Were you here? When it happened? Did they call you for help? Did you see something?
So this is the clip which I think is perhaps the most fascinating conversation, and perhaps the most revealing conversation that you might have missed from one of the earlier episodes. So the setting is basically that Mrs. Turner's brother, he was talking with one night. He came in the house, and well, the Turners are gone, and he had a conversation with Leanne after they just came back from that expedition to Wisconsin. So he basically attempted to confront Leanne, asking her that if you are going to hurt Mrs. Turner, you are going to go through me. So Leanne seems somewhat puzzled, yet she seems to understand where Mrs. Turner's brother is coming from. That she paused for a second, but and yet she kind of, for example, she didn't just say that, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. She didn't say that. How she answered is that, were you here when it happened? Did they call you for help? So I don't think we have the full answer of the context of this conversation, but it could mean a couple of things. One, is she talking about when baby Jericho was reborn, and that gap when she wasn't in the house and Sean was in the house, when the baby was reborn, something happened. There's some process happened there, and she was just curious to see whether Mrs. Turner's brother has seen anything. it could also be that she has this grand knowledge about, she foresees something in the past, but perhaps that can kind of shed light of what this family is going to go through in the future, that she was asking maybe at the end of this role. I mean, if you've seen episode 5, you know that something bad is going to come to this family. So she's asking, um, have you witnessed something? Did you see something? Or a third possibility I was thinking is, this whole uh, topic of reborn. So perhaps she was wondering whether um, Mrs. Turner's brother is also a reborn child, that perhaps that he has seen something when in some maybe he has seen um, when you're reborn after something bad has happened, right? So if he's is a reborn child, then has he witnessed something bad happened that he was afraid of? So please let me know, what do you think about this conversation, which I find very revealing, and I can't wait to find out exactly what the context is in future episodes. Okay, so my video is really getting long, so I better wrap it off. So I would like to wrap up today's discussion by showing the last static image of this tombstone that the private investigator that Mrs. Turner's brother hired when they went on an expedition to the hometown of Leanne Grayson, and they came across this tombstone. So on that tombstone, it said that Leanne Grayson would, basically died in 2002 because of the fire, but she was born in 2001. Now this makes sense because remember when Leanne Grayson told everybody that she's only 18 years of age, so she would not drink. Well, now it's 2019, so because she's born in 2001, so she is 18 years of age. So this all makes sense now. But this also raises a question of, if all your family died, right, in the fire, and you were reborn after 2002, well, first of all, how can you reborn? So it's similar to Jericho, right? So I believe that Leanne was reborn, but perhaps reborn uh, at somebody else's house, because in this house the whole family died. So it's highly unlikely that she was born in the same house. So it's possibly Leanne's relative could be that kind of helped raise her during this time. Remember that she actually encountered Mrs. Turner in one of the dancing competition during one of her regular news coverage. So, but this raises a huge question about, well, where did Leanne spend this gap between 2002 and 2019 when she's an adult? What's her experience? So I'm sure this will be all revealed in the future. Actually, in the next episode, I'm going to discuss a hint, perhaps that's embedded in the trailer, perhaps can shed some light in this topic. Now, I hope you enjoyed the conversation today. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and let me know what you think about this video, and if you have any questions about it, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.